At the very top of our power structure, the planet Earth lives in a pyramidal power structure. Extraterrestrial civilizations no longer use that power structure, the pyramidal power structure. They have been using a holographic ever since the end of the Orion Wars, okay, which would be in our linear time about 360,000 years ago. Since then, most of the civilized, benevolent civilizations, including some of the rogue regressive groups, and they are a minority, have been using a holographic social structure. And we're going to talk about that today. Okay? We're also going to talk about creating a new domain of knowing, a space in which we can create an opportunity for Earth to be mentored. Because we need some help here. We are a little bit in over our heads. Was that they took over because they think holographically. It was very easy to get around the pyramidal power structure on Earth because it's completely obsolete everywhere else out there. So if you come in using a holograph, using holographic technology, but thinking, what you do is you create your structure everywhere, so no matter what happens, whether one group gets taken out, another group takes out, is gone, the other components are still there to rise up and still manage and control, because each of these components have a picture of the whole, and they have all the technology and everything they need to continue to control and dominate and brainwash. Okay? We're over our heads here, but we're not alone. Now, what happened was they took over. It was very easy to take over the governments. You dangle technology, you dangle knowledge, you dangle ancient history, and you give them this technology in secret. Okay? You have it. We're going to give it to you. The United States of America made this mistake. Now, we have a lot of really brilliant, intelligent people here and in the world. And I know other people around the world have been talking about similar things, creating a different society, and maybe even a holographic society, and what that looks like, a holographic power structure. So no matter what happens, it will totally always stand on its own. The Founding Fathers tried to do something like this when they created all the states as equal, in control, and separate from the government. That was pretty much their intent, whether they realized it or not. I also want you to know that we have a lot of help. We are getting a lot of help from the spiritual side as well as the dimensional side. And I'm not talking about just dimensional beings. I am talking about also extraterrestrials. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. The Vision at Valley Forge of George Washington. I know that a lot of people on the net, if you've not researched it, I suggest that you do. Some say it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. I also want you to know that Thomas Jefferson, in his diaries, was out walking at his estate in Monticello, was trying to figure out the verbiage, the language, in regards to the Declaration of Independence, when he was met by a hooded man who he never really clearly saw, who gave him the conversation and the pieces that he needed to finish the Declaration of Independence. I also want you to know that in the Constitutional Hall, when everybody was bantering and going back and forth, and it looked like no one was going to sign the Declaration of Independence, up on the top railing of the hall, a man appeared out of nowhere, and for 20 minutes gave an oration about how important this was, not only to the United States and to the moment, but to the entire world as a whole. And as soon as he was done, everybody rushed to the table and signed the Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Franklin and the Sergeant-at-Arms went upstairs to try to talk to this man because they wanted to know who he was. There were armed guards at every single door. The armed guards swore no one went in, no one went out. So there is divine providence here, ladies and gentlemen. It is not a mistake that you live in this country. It is not a mistake that you are who you are. Enough is enough. It is time we step into our power. And very simple steps will do this. First, you have to make a decision. And the decision is no more bullshit. Okay? No more bullshit. You are armed to the teeth. They constantly will have to be looking over their shoulder unless they take us out. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the goal. They cannot have a new world they cannot have a world government without taking out the U.S. And I mean taking it to its knees. Now, this is not the portion, this is not where the whole presentation is going, but it's important to give you this background because the world used to look to us for the ideas of freedom. Immigrants all over the world have come to America. My grandparents were immigrants to this country because they believed in individual liberties. They believed in freedom. They believed in the principles that were in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. And ladies and gentlemen, that is who we are. We are not the crap that they show you on television. Gentlemen, you are not. Gentlemen, you are not the weak-kneed, sissy morons they try to portray us on television either. You are strong, you are family-oriented, you have faith, and you are warriors. And you're going to need to take a stand and defend your country and your family. Make no mistake about it. The two gentlemen that were here talking about the super soldiers, yeah, they're here. They're definitely here. They're hybrids. They're here. Okay? And there's more that's been going on. I was hoping that one of them would talk about what happened in Dulce, New Mexico. But they did not. And I don't necessarily want to go there either because, oh God, it's sick. It's sick. Okay? No, there's other things to cover. But I bring it up because many people that have the knowledge, that have been in black ops, special ops, that have been involved in the ET component, know about that small rogue group. And they're not gone yet. Some of them are still here. All right? And they still create and wreak havoc. So we need to create and start groups, dialogues, talking about living in a holographic structure where all the information that is available, black op, secret, top secret, above top secret, is available to everyone. We could just start with the information that we do have. The rest of it will come. It's going to collapse on itself because it's no good. It cannot stand on its own. And the minute we turn our focus away from them and they can't feed off our fear, it will collapse in a heartbeat. Because where focus goes, energy flows. Okay? As long as they keep you looking at it, they are using the energy of your soul, of your spirit, to feed this monstrosity. It's time to just ignore them. Turn your focus away and let's create what we really, really want. But we have to decide what that is. Along with that, I have been asked to start asking people to talk to people, you're the first to hear this, about what would it look like for you, for Earth, and we'll start with the exopolitics community, what would it look like for you to be mentored by several benevolent extraterrestrial races? What would that look like? How can we, what would we need to do to establish not only that communication, but at the same time have us feel safe with checks and balances so that they can walk their talk and we have to walk our talk. Open mentorship is our destiny. It's going to happen anyway, but we cannot wait for the government to turn itself around. It can't because it's not in control. All right? It is not in control. So, we have to turn our focus away from all that drama and figure out another way. Just do the best you can. I mean, we're all fighting the fight. Now, America is on the front line of this. And the reason is simple. America created a new domain of knowing. America was created to get rid of the aristocracy of the old world, to create something new, to create individual liberties, to create personal freedoms. That was never known in the world before. And we have that. And because of our apathy, we have lost virtually all of those. And it is no one else's fault. It is our own fault. I also want to tell you, and I have been asked to share this with you, about the vaccine, the new swine flu vaccine. Mornay has told me to tell you, or everyone, that this vaccine will permanently damage your DNA. So, whatever else comes out of that, it will permanently damage your DNA.
But the bottom line is, when you look at the whole picture and you go up the ladder, okay, we are not the enemy. The enemy isn't human at all. But it's pushing all our buttons so that we're so busy looking at each other and so neurotic about each other that we're not looking at the real reality here, the real cause, which is another race or races that are here who are totally playing games with us, feeding off our energy, and hoping that we destroy ourselves so that they can keep the planet.
And really,
the Draconians. Okay, the Draconians are a very large reptilian race. They're known as the Dracs. There is a royal line of the Draconian reptilian race, and they're called the Seekar. They range anywhere from 14, 15 to 22 feet tall. They can weigh up to 1,800 pounds. They do have winged appendages, and they are awesome beings. They're extremely clairvoyant, they're extremely clever, and they can also be extremely sinister. They apparently were brought to our time and space, our universe, in full physicality. Somebody brought them here and dumped them here. I don't know, and the Andromedans still don't know. But they were brought here in physicality, and they were taken to Alpha Draconis and stars nearby because it gave them the greatest chance of survival. So they were kicked out of some other place. Anyway, they are definitely a major factor to be reckoned with. They, for the most part, are service to self. They do not care for the human race because when they were dumped here, they were told that this was theirs to command. So whoever did this really screwed up. And they still have this mindset. They were one of the first to chart our solar system. In fact, they were the first of the ET races to actually put their flag on it and say it's theirs. Apparently, some of them still have the attitude that everything on it, in it, still belongs to them. And I understand that some of them have been coming back, and more will be coming back. It's going to get real interesting, folks. I can't begin to tell you how interesting it's going to get. Originally they were dumped in Alpha Draconis. Nobody knows exactly where they came from, and my understanding is that even in their ancient history, they don't know exactly where they came from. But they were left in Alpha Draconis because that particular system offered them the highest probability of survival. And from there, they were able to create craft, space travel. I mean, they're magnificent in what they did, and they're to be commended for what they did. But the fact that they need to control and dominate and manipulate to the degree, sorry, I have a problem with that. And so does half of the other of the galaxy. That's just the way they are. They're the biggest bully. Nobody can beat them up or wipe them out, so therefore they have no motivation to change. So that's the space they hold. And the Andromedans actually consider them the ultimate warriors, which says a lot, for whatever reasons.